Charley Pride once said he didn't fully understand the scope of the hatred he was walking into until he saw it up close. On August 12, 1975, his tour bus was firebombed in Augusta, Georgia. The FBI later said it was Ku Klux Klan related. 3 members of his band were injured, one suffering second-degree burns. Pride didn't cancel a single show. Instead, he kept performing in front of mixed-race crowds that country music had rarely, if ever, seen. Not long after, another truth surfaced. RCA Records had been paying him significantly less than white artists for years. He sued the label and won a settlement rumored to be over $500,000. Radio stations tried to silence him. The industry tried to cheat him. Still, Charley Pride refused to disappear. He was born on March 18, 1934, in Sledge, Mississippi, the 4th of 11 children. His parents, Mac and Tessie Pride, were sharecroppers working a 40-acre cotton farm in the segregated Mississippi Delta. Life was shaped by Jim Crow laws that dictated where black families could live, learn, and even relieve themselves. His father named him Charles, but a midwife added an IE to the birth certificate. Mac protested, but the name Charley stuck. By the age of 8, Charley was already working the cotton fields alongside his parents and siblings, dragging heavy sacks under the burning Delta sun. This was not seasonal work. It was survival. Years later, Martin Luther King Jr. would choose this same region for the Poor People's Campaign because poverty ran that deep. Charley walked 4 miles to an all-black school while white children passed him on buses, a daily reminder of the world he lived in. In 1947, while working in the fields, Charley heard that Jackie Robinson had broken baseball's color barrier. He turned to his father and said, "Here's my way out." The Pride family lived in a narrow shotgun shack made of tin and cracked wood, with no electricity or running water. 11 children shared beds, often sleeping head to toe. Winters were bitter, summers relentless. Yet Tessie Pride reminded her children they were fortunate to have their health and each other. Music was complicated in the Pride household. Mac Pride was a strict Baptist deacon who banned blues music, believing it sinful. Still, he owned a Philco radio and listened to the Grand Ole Opry. That was where Charley first heard Roy Acuff, Ernest Tubb, and Hank Williams. While blues dominated nearby Memphis, Charley fell in love with country music. At 14, he got his first guitar, either bought with cotton money or given by his mother. He taught himself by listening to the Opry and copying what he heard, even though the idea of a black country star barely existed. Baseball came first. In 1952, he tried out for the Memphis Red Sox of the Negro Leagues and failed. He joined the Wall Lake Popcorn Kernels in Iowa, where players were paid from gate receipts. When it rained, they didn't eat. After that team folded, he finally made the Red Sox roster. A year later, the New York Yankees offered him $300 to join their farm system in Idaho. It was more money than he could earn picking cotton all season. But an arm injury derailed him, and he bounced from team to team, once traded simply because another club needed a bus. In 1955, he hit .367 with 10 home runs, drawing interest from the St. Louis Cardinals. During a tryout, he snapped his elbow throwing a curveball, and the scouts disappeared. His dream of the majors faded, but he kept playing and singing on long bus rides with a guitar missing strings. Teammates laughed, but one admitted later that Charley knew where he was going. After learning to throw a knuckleball, he won 14 games in 1956 and made the East-West All-Star Game. He faced Willie Mays and Hank Aaron and proudly noted that Aaron never got a hit off him. In 1964, desperate for one last shot, he showed up uninvited to New York Mets spring training. Manager Casey Stengel dismissed him without a tryout and sent him away on a bus. That bus eventually carried Charley Pride to Nashville. While working at a zinc smelter in Montana, earning $100 a week, he sang country songs in all-white bars. One night, a crowd nearly rioted when they realized he was black. Then he sang Heartaches by the Number, and the room changed. That moment showed him his voice could break through hatred. In Helena, Red Sovine heard him sing and urged him to go to Nashville. Charley pocketed the advice until baseball closed its final door. In 1965, producer Jack Clement recorded Pride, and RCA executive Chet Atkins signed him. RCA hit his race when releasing his first single, sending it to radio without photos or biographies. The song climbed the charts. When his identity became known, some stations dropped him, but others embraced him. Sales exploded. At a Detroit concert, silence fell when the audience first saw him, then laughter and applause followed as he joked about his tan. Racism persisted inside RCA, but Atkins protected him. By 1967, Pride became the first black solo artist to perform on the Grand Ole Opry. In 1969, he scored his first #1 hit. More followed. By the early 1970s, he dominated the charts, won major CMA awards, and sold millions of records. Yet hate mail, threats, and discrimination followed every success. In 1974, he discovered RCA had capped his royalties below those of white artists. He sued and won, forming Pride Productions and gaining control of his masters. A year later came the firebombing of his bus. Still, he toured on and released music celebrating unity. Despite his success, awards recognition lagged, and the pressure nearly broke him. His personal life held secrets. He had a long affair that resulted in a son he supported privately but did not publicly acknowledge for years. His marriage endured, but the revelation complicated his legacy. Health issues followed decades of non-stop touring, forcing him to relearn how to sing. As radio trends shifted, Pride was pushed aside, labeled a heritage act. Fans never left. He was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2000 and later received Lifetime Achievement honors. In 2020, he made his final performance at the CMA Awards. Weeks later, he died from COVID-19 complications. Charley Pride sold millions of records, shattered barriers, and changed country music forever. He endured violence, betrayal, and erasure, yet his voice carried on. His legacy is not just in the charts he topped, but in the doors he forced open simply by refusing to step aside.